Okay, so we've just had a short film showcase here on day 5. This is one of my favourite actually collections of short films. They're absolutely fantastic, all of them, I think. They make some really interesting use of time and perspective and shifting perspectives and things like that. So yeah, some absolutely fantastic films. We've got some representatives of the films here with us. If you'd like to just start at this end, just introduce yourself and your role in the film, which film it was.
My name is Anthony Kalmeta. I'm the director, writer, and editor of Echoes.
I am Gabriel, Athanasiou, and I'm the director and writer of Astoria.
Hello, I'm Papadopoulos, and I'm the editor of Astoria.
Hi, I'm Niki, and I'm playing Minas in Astoria.
Fantastic. Round of applause, please, for So, first thing that I noticed looking at you guys, you are all disgustingly young and talented. So, yeah, thanks for that. Anthony, start with yourself. What's it like watching one of your films on the big screen like this?
So, aside from one cast and crew screening that happened a while back for a previous film, this is the first time I've ever seen one of my films on a big screen. And this is also the first time that I've seen this on a big screen, mostly just a monitor. So it was really cool. It actually felt way more easy to watch than the countless times I've seen it in the past. So yeah, I was worried about that.
How was it watching your film?
Yeah, it's always, it gives you a different perspective because films are made to be watched on a cinema, and we're really grateful for film festivals that support our films. It's always amazing, and thanks so much.
Yeah, and Paul, yeah, you mentioned there about film festivals. What makes film festivals important? This is one for all of you guys, I guess. What makes film festivals in particular important for small indie films like yourselves? We'll start with Anthony, actually.
Well, without a festival, there's no real celebration of films outside of someone's home if they're like putting it on the TV. So what you guys do is really hard, and it's just a lot. You're putting yourselves out there, and you're championing us, the filmmakers, and that's one of the most important things because that helps us move to the next stage and the next level in our careers, and it also makes us feel like we have a community and someone who appreciates what we're doing, and actually it's more encouraging.
I should say you had a film in the festival, not physically, you weren't able to come, were you, for it?
Yeah, I wasn't able to come 2 years ago. I had a film, Overcast, and yeah, it's a long film. It was 25 minutes, and a lot of, and that also inhibited how many festivals were willing to show it. And when you guys showed your support for it and everything, like that was incredible. You opened up for that 1 week, and that alone was very encouraging, and it definitely made that experience.
It's great to have you with us this time.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So, Astoria, guys, when did you start working together? How did this film come about?
So, back when COVID was full on, basically, Astoria is my final film for my master's in film screening in Greece, in directing that I did. And because basically I'm living in the UK, but when COVID hit, I thought I would be going back to Greece for only a month. It turned out to be pretty much more than that, and I wanted to basically finish my master's, and so I had to come up with an idea and a story that could be done with resources that I had access to, and basically the place where the film takes place, Astoria, is the hometown of a good friend of mine and the producer, which always inspired me. I always wanted to do something like creepy in it, I guess. And so yeah, the whole process, I guess, it's a typical short film, kind of 8 months time from start to finish.
How did you get your editor and actor on board? Were they on your course, or do you know them from outside?
Wow. We actually met here in London. We are both of Greece, from the same place, but we didn't know each other before. So I met him in a feature film here in London. I was a runner, he was a first AD, and that's how we met. I told him that I'm an actor, I'm from Greece. That's how we met. And after that, even if we became friends, he casted me. I suppose that I was good. You chose me.
And with Paul, basically, I had I'm guilty of have been editing all of my stuff prior to Astoria.
Okay.
Paul was the first person that I could trust with one of my films, and I think that was the best decision I've done in my life.
Yeah, this is a question for Paul actually. How involved was Gabriel with the film, with the edit, I should say? Did he hand it over to you? Was he reluctant to? It sounds like he might have been a little bit reluctant. How did it work?
Yeah, so, is it working?
Just, is it switched?
Yeah, it's on. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Gabriel approached me and said that we're both in film school, and he approached me and said that I'm doing my thesis film and I want you to edit it. And then he gave me the materials and said that I have a script, it was like 20 pages, read it and then toss it in the trash and do whatever you want with the narrative. Anything goes, do as you please. Actually the script was quite, it had all this, time change that went back and forth in time, so there was a very good platform to work on, but we did some things to change the order of some scenes and give the narrative a new perspective on a bit little, if I can say that, excuse me for this, create an atmosphere that you're not really sure what's going on and what's the perspective, what's now, what's in the past, what is happening, who is talking to. For example, you have this scene where the accident happens in the first retelling of the story, and she opens her eyes and she's at the policeman's office, but you can't see who she's talking to and where she is. So yeah, we try to create a bit of a confusion as to why she's confused as well in how she's telling the story and trying to cover up for her friends. But yeah, all these things were in the script. Gabriel and the other writer, Joanna, did a very good job, and just tweaked some scenes in order to make it work a bit more back and forth.
Question for Nikki. Was everything by the script, or did you and the other actors, did you get a chance to work around it, add some bits? How did it work?
Improv, yeah. So it was in the script. Everything was in the script. We used to do some rehearsals before, so yeah, the script it was nice from the start. But after that, you need some words to make it more natural or to find your character and all of this stuff. So yeah, we had the improv inside this. We had some scenes that it was inside the script, but with our own natural way to say these things. Yeah.
This is a question for you, Anthony. Were there any films that you had in mind when you made this film? Because when I was watching it, there were certain things that I thought it touched upon or had fingerprints of other filmmakers. Who are you influenced by?
It definitely had a lot of influences. If you look at like a Polaroid, like where was that the most used and the most famous example of it? And that was like Memento, and that had to do with memory. But one of the films that really inspired the way the story was being told was something like Enemy. So that's more like a puzzle film, and there are times where you're confused, but the way the narrative is constructed, certain things aren't adding up. And you start to realize there's actually something untruthful from the perspective that you're following. So that was one of the main inspirations.
Yeah, when I watched it, I kind of thought Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind, meets Chris Nolan. So, yeah, cool. Okay.
I also love that movie too.
Yeah. Enemy is a great film with Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Was there any audience questions at this point?
For this story, guys, just want to say I really like the wardrobe that you have with the characters. It made it very distinct. It made it very kind of like shot out on the screen, and you could tell who was who from just by the silhouette. And again, I appreciate that. My question is, you said you wanted to do something a little bit creepy. Did you draw any inspiration from any other movies that had sort of similar sort of vibe and plot to it? Because I could see there was like some. If I were to make that movie, I saw some inspiration from like some classic thrillers that I would have seen. So yeah, what's your inspiration, man?
Great question. Thank you for it. Well, I'm also guilty of not having watched many classical films, to be honest with you. Basically, I remember that time I was watching Knives Out, and I don't know why, that inspired a almost like whodunit kind of story. The whole script actually started way more creepier. To be honest, like we had the same characters, but the actual story that was going on was quite different. Although on rewrites we realized that it might have been too much for a short, so we had to tone some things down. But yeah, I guess Knives Out, and maybe for the edit, again, it might be sounding really stupid, but I watched Tenet and I like how it was always moving. So that was something that we tried to do with the music and the edit.
Thank you. One question for each, Anthony and Gabriel. Congratulations both. Anthony, there's phenomenal cinematography and editing in your film. So this is a very geeky question, but what you're doing with the lenses, all that blurriness, was that on camera or was that post?
So my cinematographer, we hadn't planned for that initially, so that was all in post. So I handled all of that, behind the scenes, and that edit took about like 5 to 6 months.
I can see that.
Thank you for the question.
I have a question for Gabriel. It seems like we're watching the first act of a feature. Are you considering expanding this? Because that has the workings of a great feature.
Great question as well. Basically, writing it, I'm always feeling like my short films look like have a feature narrative structure, and I can't seem to get away from it, unfortunately. For this one in particular, we actually did try to develop it in a limited kind of series for TV. I'm not sure if it will ever happen, to be honest with you, but something that we said with Paul in the beginning, we treated it as if it was like a pilot.
Do any others? Raise your hand. Yep, one at the front here.
This is for all of you. What was your greatest challenge on set?
Do you want to start, Anthony?
Okay.
Yeah, one each.
One of the biggest challenges on set was being able to shoot the day for night transitions, because we actually had like a moving camera. So what had happened was we had it on a motorized rig, and we had to wait for the sun to be in the right position, and then the set designers had to rush in and completely change the set to look like a different area, pretty much like a much cleaner, well kept. And then we had to do the shot like multiple times and pray that, when we're cutting them side by side, that it's going to line up and you're going to see that transition. So being able to plan around that was probably one of the hardest parts about making that film.
I guess for us, we shot Astoria during COVID, and the restrictions in Greece were pretty much like brutal at that time. But besides the obvious, COVID difficulties, we decided to film a short that is mainly taking place during night in Greece in the summer, when you only have like a tiny amount of night time. So we had to do long days every day, and if things went wrong, we had to improvise on the spot. For example, we realized when we were shooting the interiors of the car, when the accident has already happened, we were shooting that on location. We had a nice piece of kind of road to work with, but we were doing a rough cut every day after looking at the rushes, and we realized that it could have been better, but we didn't have any more time allocated for filming, so that we need to do reshoots. So I told my producer that we would need to find like a studio so we can just put the car in the morning and make it look, make it like day for night, and try to get those that way. So basically a lot of improvising on the way, as you go, things like that happen all the time. But I guess that's what's making filmmaking Interesting.
Yeah. Paul, what was your biggest challenge as the editor?
Obviously when the editing software crashes. No. No, Justin. Yeah. Just needs a bit of help. No. Okay. So yeah, about the editing. No. No. The biggest challenge I think is, like you're watching a story again and again, a film, how it goes on, and you're just thinking, if I'm making the right decisions, and you watch again and you see it and you say, oh, I should have rearranged something here and there, a little bit shorter, a little longer on dialogue, and you watch, and then you go on the big screen and you say, oh, I guess that dialogue should have been cut, and it's just like a process that never ends. I think you'll never stop editing a film in your head, and at one point you just have to say to yourself that it's finished, it is what it is, and
move on.
Hope, that is for the best. That's the best version of the film you have created.
Nikki, what was your biggest challenge?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was myself, to be honest, because I don't take care of my stuff, and we had like shoots outside, and I had to wear my costume the whole day, and I had to keep them clean, right? That was a big challenge. And I was always changing my clothes because I didn't want to make them dirty, right? And it was one day I said, okay, I will just drink a coffee. And I split the whole coffee on me. So that was not my challenge, but the costume design had the challenge to clean the t-shirt in 5 minutes.
I had no idea about that.
And we were running to clean the t-shirt, so yeah, the biggest challenge for me was myself, to be like, take care of all the props and stuff. But yeah, everything, it was really, really nice. It was literally a film by a family, not by people. We were all together, we've done everything together, we had a great time, and I'm so happy that I had this experience with these great people, and yes, that's all. Yeah.
Fantastic answer. Right, final question from me. Starting again with you, Nikki. What's your next project? What are you working on next?
Our next project or my next project?
Together would be great.
Okay, yeah. So we actually have filmed a few months ago a new short film called What a City Day. So now we're waiting Paul to editing this movie, but he's here for vacation probably.
I have my laptop with me.
And we are developing our first feature film that Gabriel will say more about that.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to tell us more, Gabriel?
About the short or the feature.
Let's see about the feature.
So the feature is this is my first kind of endeavor to write a feature script. I usually work with writers, but this one is the first time I'm actually trying to do one myself. And like it's a super simple story. 3 guys working in a burger house, and they do some stuff. It's like Superbad meets Licorice Pizza, in a sense.
I'm here for that. Yeah. Will it be ready for next year?
If anyone wants to give us money for that, then probably
see them afterwards. Yeah. Paul, are you working on that feature film or the short film?
Yeah, and we've actually finished a film with a short film with Gabriel 1 or 2 months ago. Yeah, short like thrillery fantasy film. And other than that, yeah, waiting to see. I'm really anxious to find out what Gabriel has in store for us. Other than that, yeah, I'm working in Greece in some short films and programs in television.
Fantastic. Let's hope the software holds up this time. Anthony, what are you working on next?
I've also got a short and feature in development as well. The short is about contract killers, more like a crime, gritty drama, so a little more down to earth, a little more guerrilla style filmmaking. The feature is still in development, and it's about a woman who is accused of murder being investigated by a police detective disguised as a psychologist. And it's more of like a noir trope flipping. But yeah, so that's what's coming next.
Love that. Love to see both films that we just spoke about there at the next year's film festival. Fantastic. Can everyone give our panel a round of applause?